if you have ever harvested bananas or have bunches, like what to do with them after, especially if they're green. If you cut them down when they're still right before they turn ripe, you know, and they're still green. I'll share with you what I do with my bananas and uses for them too when you have too much, like what you can do with them. When I harvest bananas, you know, sometimes they're on the tree and they're starting to get ripe, or even they're still green. And once you chop the tree down and cut off the bunch, you know, ripening the bananas if they're still green, and then how I cut them up. I cut them up into singles and stuff, and then I'll put them in wood boxes to let them ripen and come to like perfection. So here's a couple of bunches of bananas that I harvested, and as you can see, a few of them are starting to get yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take down a couple bunches that are getting yellow, and then I'll show you guys how I prepare them. So I took off two of the bunches that were tied up on the tree, the ones that are the most yellow. And I know most people, when they harvest bananas, you know, and they you'll usually see them cut into like hands, like this. Most people will cut them like this, you know. The problem with this is that you know, you can leave them on the counter or something, and then as they get ripe, you know, people will just pick off one by one. The thing with this though, it's like as they start to get ripe, say like one more week from now when they're just really nice and yellow, as you start to pick them off, the others start falling off automatically, and it's basically they become like this, you know. So once you pick one, others will start falling off also, and then they'll all look like this, and they'll have this opening where, you know, insects, bugs, ants, they can get in and they'll just start eating away at your, you know, your fruit. So what I like to do is just start cutting them in singles. You know, you just cut them in single fingers. And then this way it's easier, you know, because they're all like separated already, and you know, as they get ripe, you just eat one at a time, and you don't really ruin the others when you pick off one by one, you know, when they're as hands. Cut that off. You know, this is like the fastest way to just cut bananas and put them on, you know, the counter or whatever. But the best to me, honestly, is just one by one, just cutting them in single fingers. Takes a little bit longer, but it's so worth it. And then, you know, I'll load these up in just a wood box like this, put something on the bottom. You can use newspaper or like a paper bag, and then I'll just start stacking them up in rows. You know, this is what I do. Many times I'll harvest bananas, and I'll harvest like 6 or 7 bunches at one time. So that's a lot, way more than I can eat, you know. And so I'll share some with friends and family, and then the rest I'll either freeze. I'll freeze like some bananas. You know, I'll make smoothies and stuff. I'll put them in smoothies. And then what I do now is I dehydrate bananas, and that's kind of one of my favorite things to do now is start dehydrating them, because you know, I can take maybe 4 of these boxes filled to the gills, and then I'll start dehydrating them, you know, like one box at a time. And then what I have is I have glass jars, you know, like big gallon glass jars. So I'll start like lining up the bananas, and then before you know it, I'll have like 2-gallon glass jars of dehydrated bananas, and They are like the best. And even like the bottom of this bunch is still kind of green, as the top was yellow. So I'll just cut them all into singles and load them up in the box, and as they'll all just get ripe together, you know, one time. I filled up 2 boxes of bananas to the top, and this is probably maybe like 3 bunches worth, you know. So if you wait till the perfect timing, till they're like nice and ripe, maybe 5 to 7 more days from now, I mean, this is gonna be like the best candy you can eat from nature. So if you guys want me to make a video on how to make dehydrated bananas, let me know. Leave a comment down below. So hit that subscribe button so you guys can be informed when I release new videos on how to be more sustainable and how to crush it in nutrition by using a plant-based lifestyle, guys. Foods as simple as this will completely change your life. The most simplest foods in the world. You will not get better than these types of foods that are right off the land, you know, right from farmers. People who you trust, who maybe do organic farming and whatnot, you know. Foods that are freshly grown and harvested that you consume right away with the least amount of processing in between, right? The most simplest foods ever will give you the best results that you have ever seen. If you are curious about getting into a plant-based diet, or you've been considering doing plant-based nutrition, check out the links in the description box below. I have some products that I recommend if you're just starting. It'll help you along your journey. Some of the foods are real simple, you know, dehydrated fruits and stuff. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button